when we had country that had no metal, when everything out there was a tree and just millions of acres, and and we had to make a fire by the creek, I can see why you do that. I think it was a necessity, and I love tradition. I really, and I love experience, and I love learning through experience. And so if I have veterinarians come to work with me, and I ask them how much experience they have, it's more important to ask them what experience they've had. I have a lot of people that they'll put young people in situations to fail. They'll have a brand new pin rider, and they put him in the alley with new early weaned calves, and I'll ask him, why do you do that? And he said, I want him to see what he knows, and then I want him to learn by doing. And the question I have, do you want to learn by doing it right or wrong? Like me, I wasted 40 years being on the wrong end of a cow. I mean, when I went to practice, I was a pretty good physical specialist. We had 3 sale barns. We worked 3 sale barns a week. Our break check 40, 50,000 cattle every fall. I never stopped. I mean, I was dirty and sweaty. I had a pot shot in this hand and a paddle in this hand, and we got stuff done. Man, I had a funny feeling tonight. I mean, we didn't get any more cattle through because we usually broke something and we had to fix it. Or the cattle went through the fence, we had to go get them. But I think don't take it wrong about that. I think it's negative to drag cattle. I just want you to know that traditions that are very good should never be lost. And traditions, if times have changed and you know a better way to do something, I'm just asking you to, people at home tell me they do it that way because they can get done faster. Well, I don't know if you timed those videos. Each of those calves I castrated in that video, it was 1 minute and 18 seconds from the time he went there and stepped in. So it took 1 minute 18 seconds to process him and castrate. The heifer calves, we don't even turn over. We do those in 23 seconds because we don't turn them over because we don't brand. And so on an average, if they're half boys and half girls, you'd be doing one about every 45 seconds. How many seconds in a minute? 60. I mean, how many seconds in an hour? I guess would be a better question. 3,600. How many 45? I mean, we can do some cattle. And we do need to keep getting together. The power of that day is sitting down for supper and relaxing and loving each other. Don't stop doing that. My question is, can we do that and leave the cattle out there in the pasture and not drag them around? That's my question. Most of the brandings I go to, most of the people doing the roping and dragging, if you ask them how their cow's doing, they don't have it. Your country may be different.
They don't have it?
No, they don't. They don't own it.
Oh, I see. Yeah, it's 13.
You guys may be different. We have people drive 150 miles to a brand. I don't know what diesel fuel is here, but it's $4 or $5 a gallon down there. Just pulling on goosenecks. I don't know what it costs to put on a brand. You know the sure way to get rid of money, don't you? Now, any other?
Do you not brand because you do it at a later time, or do you just not brand in general?
The question is, do we not brand? we got to do something about this, guys. We don't brand. Why? Okay, I trust my neighbors. I got 3 neighbors. If one of my calves gets in his pasture, he brings him back, and vice versa. Okay? Now, you may not have neighbors like that. The other thing is, I live in this beautiful state of Nebraska that if you drive across the line, the brand means nothing. Half of Nebraska has no brand law. There's not a single brand law in Kansas. When I take grazing cattle to Kansas, they're branded, and I think it makes them more enticing for them to steal. They just load them up and take them to Kansas sale barn and just go through. They're gone. Why would I brand them? Why do you brand them?
There are other places in Montana that ranchers have lost their cows because they did not brand.
Well, and Nebraska too. But
Big outfits that have cattle in crash places.
my,
Didn't realize they were gone until they were gone.
the problem we have in states like Washington, the banker makes us brand. They won't loan money unless you brand them. Yeah, I mean, our government drives a lot of this. Yeah, he says you can't go on a force permit without them branded. I'm ashamed that we don't know anything about our cattle when we go someplace. First time I got to go to an Australian feedlot, it was about 3 o'clock in the morning. They unloaded this, so they can haul about 200 of these 5-weight calves because they have a road train, 3 trailers on each truck. Those 230 calves went through this little reader, and we went up to scale, and we knew every calf's number, his birthday, where he was born, and what breed he was. And no brands. So I don't know. How many of you are worried about bird flu? Huh? Yeah, guys, if we ever, how many of you are worried about the people that are walking across our southern border that have been to Africa and every damn place there is with foot and mouth disease? I'm scared to death. And if we ever get it, our brand laws aren't going to save us.
So the only, I have to speak up. So in Montana, because the vets do such a poor job with health certificates, we have been traced back for TB testing from a steer that had like 95 herds possibly they could have been contacted with. And the only reason that they could whittle that down to like 20 herds to actually test for TB was because of the brand inspections. Because we don't do a very good job with our health inspections. So there has been times in Montana where a disease outbreak, like when they go through the models of getting foot and mouth disease, the brand inspections helped contain things like that in models more than not having brands.
I think as I think people in college, the kids that are here, what's ahead of us for genomics and DNA testing and quality control and documentation of these things, it's gonna make it really important that we know more about him than his brand. Is that fair or true? You guys have got these cattle have the capability of grading prime, and you need to capitalize on that. The biggest thing that's changed in your industry is the percentage of choice and prime just went through the roof.
Have there been any studies on that, of branding cattle versus not branding cattle and the effect that it might have on the grading?
On carcass quality? No. No. But if that's what you're using for individual identification, that's not enough specific information because he's got 100 brothers. Does that make sense? Yeah. I don't. The brand is something that's hard to. Change is really scary. And if you've done something for 150 years and throw those things away, it's a change. It's pretty scary. If you lived where I would you brand your calves? I'm asking you.
What's your situation?
I live a mile, Josh, from the Kansas line, and if somebody wants to steal cattle, there's no brand law in Kansas. They can come up there and throw them in a gooseneck. It's 20 miles to the sale barn.
I would brand probably, and it's very useful to have a brand and scary to not have a brand because we're not used to it. So, but I have thought that this day and age, it seems like there should be something else we could do to keep track of what's cattle.
Diane and I went to Maui, Hawaii, and it's a famous ranch, and we finally got the cattle up off the ocean. We processed the first calf they run in. They put an all-flex tag in this ear and an EID tag in this ear. And one boy took his pocket knife and he cut the bottom half of this ear off. And the other boy on this side, he cut the end of this one off. And then they went back and they put a brand on the shoulder and the rib and the hip. And I went to the house. And I'm going, what about these ears? What's the ear knot? Well, he said, if our cattle get mixed up, it just makes sorting instantly. You can just sit there at the gate and look at that ear notch. You can just sort. I said, what kind of cattle do your neighbors have? I said, did you know that Allflex makes 2 color of tags? You could talk to him, he could put green in, you could put yellow. Oh no, they said, no, I said, what kind of, he said, they don't have cattle anymore, they're sheep. Now I can sort cattle from sheep. I just think we have to think about some of these things, right? Other questions? I keep giving Katie and Dr. Mandy, Emily, Becca, you guys, I keep giving them examples of questions that you have for the feedlot industry. So we want to know, coronavirus is that's the virus now that we have problems with in the feedlot. And Merck has a vaccine for coronavirus, but it's aimed at the digestive system. It's for diarrhea. And we don't have the bovine form of coronavirus vaccine available. But there's some companies working hard on it, and we're got a big research trial going, giving it on arrival to see if it'll make a difference in our late day deads and all that stuff, Josh. No, we want to get it out here so that we can find some people that'll give it at branding and pre-weaning, and then let us give another dose on arrival and see if we can change that, because that's about what it takes to change the calf's immune system. One vaccine's not enough. So think of those kinds of questions.
I have a question on implants. You were talking about how the order buyers, they like it when the cow-calf guy doesn't give implants. Is that some of that also because the first time they get it, they get a better bang for the buck, or is that enter into it?
Bill's question is it because if you give it the first implant gets the biggest response, and so are people afraid that when they go use the next step of implant, it'll be less effective. It's actually the opposite.
Oh, okay.
It's actually the opposite. So especially, so we used to have, a long time ago, we had row grow.